Right, so we've got my absolutely darling Dora. There she is. Hello, Zoe.
Hello, Ariel. So lovely to meet you. This is Dora, as you've guessed.
And Dora. Oh gosh, now I'm just going to quickly tell you why I adore your dog, Zoe. Is in it was Christmas 2019, and I'd set up this website, Just Be Kind. I didn't imagine anybody would find it. It was something I was just so passionate about, is starting to promote plant-based feeding. And I had one dog in 2019 that found my website. He's a dog called Hank. And then we went by for about 2 months and nobody found my website and nobody contacted me. And I was visiting, my son was working in Cornwall. He's a pharmacist. And I went and stayed with him in a little flat, and I had my computer and I was sitting at the desk, and he had just got in from a long shift. And I opened it up and you had filled out a form. And you'd put the picture of Dora, and this picture came up on my screen of your gorgeous, gorgeous Dora. And all I remember is jumping up from my computer, I hugged my son and I screamed. I said, yes, someone's found me. And look, she's just absolutely gorgeous. She's called Dora.
Oh.
So she has held such a wonderful place in my everything, your Dora. And every time I send you a parcel, oh gosh, she makes me laugh so much. Would you send me videos of her ripping open her parcel?
And you know, the only parcels she rips open are yours, and when I get a veg box.
Oh, so
she rips open, she steals the broccoli or the cauliflower, out of a veg box all the time.
Oh, what a healthy girl. So now tell us all about her. Where is she from, and your journey with feeding her as well?
Well, she's coming up she'll be 7 in August. So I can't believe she's nearly 7 already. We did get her from a puppy, which before we were plant-based. So before I knew better than getting a puppy, but I do feel quite blessed with her, because she is, I know every dog is special, but she is very funny and she brings us a lot of joy. So we wouldn't
see her tail there. You can see her tail wagging next to you.
Come on, you can come up here if you want to, Dora. But the reason Dora went on a plant-based journey is really as a result of us going on a plant-based journey. We started that route about 4 years ago, in fact 4 years this month, thanks to our daughter, who challenged us to try being plant-based. And I think initially we did it for environmental reasons, but it didn't take long for me to take my blinkers off. It allowed me to take my blinkers off and look at, the whole animal agriculture, the cruelty that goes on. So once I'd seen all of that, there's no way I could go back to eating meat or dairy. So we were happily thriving, Dora, on a plant-based diet, but I was feeding Dora raw meat. Yes, mainly because before Dora we had a German Shepherd with a very sensitive stomach, and it was recommended to me that she had a raw diet, and she thrived on it. And not knowing any better, I thought, well, that's the route for Dora. But I was so conflicted by doing that I was just starting to research ways of being able to feed her healthily, and not cause any cruelty, and keep her healthy as well, because obviously my priority was for her to be a healthy dog. So I started researching and I started reading, and I was looking at everything on the internet, and that's where I found you. So sort of that's how it happened, really.
And how did she take? She is just so gorgeous. Oh, I can just see her character in
She's I think a trainer once said to me when I took her to training classes when she was younger, that she's the eternal optimist. Yes. Everything is a real, there's something in here for me, it's going to be fun. She's one of those characters.
Absolutely.
So
Did you find her character changed from being raw to plant-based? I know, quite a difficult question. Has
I
she
mean,
always held the same excitement for everything that
I
she gets?
I would say that she has. I do think I have to honestly say I think she enjoys her food more now because of the variety that she gets. I think, you know, when it was raw food, it
Yeah.
was literally just the same thing day in, day out. Whereas now, you know, she has all sorts of different, you know, when I'm home cooking, there's all the different flavors, and she really enjoys raw vegetables now as
Yes,
well.
yes.
So, you know, treats can be a little head of broccoli or a carrot or a little bit of cauliflower. I mean, she just
Yeah.
she's always been a very inquisitive dog that wants to be with you, and I think so behavior wise, I think she's probably stayed the same, really. I can't
Yes.
say that she's
Good.
calmed down.
No, but just so lovely that she loves her food as much as she did,
Yes,
which has kept her curious, kept her happy, and kept her full of life and wanting that
absolutely. Oh,
food.
absolutely.
Oh,
There's definitely not been any change in the negative. And I think what
mm,
used to worry me with raw feeding is I always felt that she was very dehydrated. I mean, I know we don't want to talk about dog poo, but it was always very hard, very, I felt slightly strained. And now, you know, she does plenty of enormous firm, but not
yeah,
hard and not soft, but they're just perfect.
just right. And they don't smell, do they?
Don't smell. They don't smell. I mean, you
No.
do need sometimes 2 poo bags, but
Yeah.
they
Two
certainly look
hands.
very healthy.
Well, it's a wonderful topic, but we always have to go on to it. And and how long did it take you to transition her? Was
I transitioned mainly because I had food left over in my freezer, the raw food. So I transitioned fairly, just until I ran out, really. So I would include a little bit in and then a little bit more. And then, Dora, there's no more, darling. There's no more. And then, you know, she just didn't really notice the difference. There was no hesitation in her wanting, you know, eating it. She would just happily eat it. There was never a problem. I've
yeah.
never had her, apart from when she was a little poorly the other day, I've never known her turn her nose up at her food, her
At anything.
veggie food.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I home cook mostly,
Oh, well
but
done.
combine it with kibble because she's
Yes,
so big, I just don't think I could
exactly.
manage to cook enough.
Yes, you're
So we
right.
sort of do
Yeah.
about half and half.
Uh,
And but if we are traveling and I haven't got a fridge handy, then I do buy some tinned hound. I tend to use.
well, lovely. Yes,
So
yes.
that's my
Wonderful.
go-to if I can't take the homemade with me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, and she and that bond that you've got with her is just so lovely.
Yeah, she is
She just
gorgeous.
adores you as well.
Yeah, I mean, the lovely thing about her is she adores everybody. She's definitely not a one-person dog. She does, you know, she loves
Oh,
my
just
husband. She loves the kids when they're home.
yes,
Um,
real family.
yeah, she is. She's a
A
real
true
helpful.
family dog.
Yeah.
But equally that bond becomes stronger when they're plant-based because they're eating like you know that their saliva, their mouths carries none of the bacteria that the raw food would carry. And I mean, she's all over your face there.
Yes.
And it's just lovely to know that, okay, she might go and pick up the odd cat poo in the garden, and as dogs do,
Yeah.
and they wash themselves. But generally the bacteria load in her mouth is going to be negligible compared to when she was raw fed. So it does, don't you find it strengthens that?
And that was a little bit of a concern of mine when she was raw fed because I had
Yeah.
I know my children were older, but I have a friend that fosters, so I often have toddlers and babies in the house because she fosters. So it would always worry me if Dora was licking them if she weren't being raw fed.
Yes.
Whereas I don't feel we need to worry about that quite so much now. Obviously, we are careful,
Yeah.
but it's not such of a worry as it
Of an
was.
issue,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. And do you have any concerns with
Um, I don't.
the
One of the things I was worried about was actually letting my vet know. when
Okay.
she transitioned. Actually, that's slightly unfair, because the vet that I'd always used for many years since we lived here, so for the last 15, 16 years, he he and his partner, they sold their business, and they sort of took a bit of a sabbatical for a couple of years. So when she transitioned to plant-based, they weren't around, so I was using a new vet who I probably in the 2 years only saw them once or twice.
Yes.
And then luckily, Bill White, the lovely vet that we use, set up another practice
Oh gosh,
close by, and opened up again. So I knew he's very open-minded, and I felt confident enough to explain to him that she was now plant-based, and he was great about it. He was absolutely great. I think he was I think the fact that I gave her kibble as well as homemade, I think, was his little bit of a safety net, I suppose, making sure that I wasn't,
absolutely.
But I think he realised I'm quite sensible. And I said to him, if you feel you need to do her bloods regularly, he said, no, no reason why I need to do that. She's absolutely fine and healthy. So it was a big relief to let them know. So I feel
perfect.
It's nice to be supported, isn't it? Really,
absolutely. And also the foods that she's been having, like solar vegetal, for example, is a food that vets are familiar with, because it's one of the dermatology diets. So even just mentioning that to your vet, I know would console them that actually yes, it is, as you say, at least they know that there is the balance there with one of the foods that she's getting. And for you did you ever feel like she was lacking something, or there was something missing in her diet? Have you always felt that confident that she's fine?
I do feel confident that she's fine, because I've followed your advice and advice that I've read as far as supplementing her with the vegan omega.
Good, the algae oils, wonderful. Yes.
And I give her the joint vitamin.
And the joint, good.
As well, because she has, ever since she was younger, she's had her hips aren't fantastic from being a puppy, I think. So I've always been aware of that, and she can get a little bit stiff when she's been asleep after a long walk. So I also, something I was going to ask you actually, I make the golden paste, the turmeric.
Yes, and the black pepper, yes.
Yeah, so I add that as a supplement to her food.
Perfect.
And I was just wondering, is it, because I also freeze it, I make enough and I freeze it. I was wondering whether sometimes when we're not home and I take my homemade food with me, could I put the turmeric paste on top of her food before I freeze it, so that when I'm going away, it's all there together, and I don't have to
absolutely add it. There's definitely nothing there that would interfere with the other supplements or the topping, so absolutely. And actually the golden paste uses coconut oil, doesn't it? Which is a type of fat. It's called medium chain triglycerides, is a type of fat that coconut oil is, which actually is a much better source of fat for older dogs. I know you never want to think of your Dora as old, but because she's Newfoundland cross, she is sort of one of the giant breeds, which means her life expectancy is sort of 10 to 12 is what Newfoundlands are, aren't they? Thank goodness she's got is it the poodle? It's
poodle in her,
Poodle, so that would definitely extend her lifespan, but it's just a much better way of absorbing the fat if it's in that. Coconut oil actually is a fantastic one. So actually, and that I know is one of the bases of golden paste as well, is the coconut oil plus the turmeric and the black pepper, which helps with the absorption of the turmeric. So yes, definitely you can add that and then freeze them all together and then defrost them in the portion. So definitely that all will help her as she
good. So so I don't really have, apart from her being a little bit stiff, partly because she doesn't really have an off button when she's on a walk. She has a, you know, we throw a hoop. She loves this hoop since being very young. So she just would run and run and run and run, you know, and then I have to take it away from her when we come home. But so she does sometimes overdo it. So it can be a bit limpy. She's slightly weak on her left front paw, leg, but usually with a little bit of rest or just lead walking for a while, that sort of goes away as well. And the vet, my vet keeps an eye on it too. So yeah.
And being plant-based as well will keep her weight down. That's the perfect thing. It's keeping her lean and muscular. So all the nutrients are there for the functions of her muscles and the rest of her body, rather than putting on fat, which a lot of the saturated fat meat-based diets do. So definitely you've extended her lifespan considerably with being plant-based.
Yeah,
everything you're doing is spot on, Zoe. Oh, she's a lucky girl, and gosh, you're lucky. You've got just such a darling there.
Oh,
We haven't had many teleconsults where the dog has sat so beautifully, taken part.
A friend of mine thinks that at night after we've gone to bed, she unzips her suit and the person jumps out.
Yes. You should take up ventriloquism and you could just talk. Sit in the Zoom chat and just talk for her. No, she's just so lovely. Oh, well, thank you so much for this, Zoe. And I think for other owners, just to hear your journey and see your gorgeous Dora and how healthy she is, and just hear everything is wonderful. For other owners just to hear. So thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, and it's lovely to meet you. And thank you for all your help and support. You've been amazing.
Oh,
really given me the confidence to go ahead with it.
As I say, she's just one of my favorites. So well, they're all my favorites. They're all your favorites.